Have you ever been in that moment, trying to express yourself in English, where the grammar feels right, the words are there, but something's just a little bit off?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you almost get it, but there's this tiny piece missing, that little gap between just being correct and really sounding, well, fluent.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've heard native speakers and just wondered, how do they pick that specific phrase for that exact moment? It seems so effortless.
It really does, and it's such a common feeling for learners, I think. It points to something quite deep about language, actually.
Which is,
Well, these seemingly simple words, the everyday phrases we use all the time, they often carry this surprising depth, nuances, cultural weight,
yeah,
things that really lift your communication.
from just correct to genuinely fluent. That's a great way to put it. It's like the difference between just listing facts and actually telling a story that connects.
Exactly, being understood versus being felt.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating, I find, is that it's right there when you start mastering these subtle bits, these distinctions. That's where the real confidence comes from. It's moving beyond just the grammar rules, important as they are, and into more authentic, natural expression.
Right. It's not just about relaying information accurately.
No, it's about intuitively getting the tone right, the intent, maybe even the cultural resonance. These small details, they're actually the building blocks for sounding like yourself, but in English.
You've absolutely nailed what we're trying to do here today. Think of our mission, if you like, as taking a magnifying glass to some of these really common English phrases,
Okay.
phrases that are, essential for everyday chat, but often cause these little hiccups for learners. So our stack of sources for this deep dive is basically looking at how an expert English teacher would break these down, explain them, put them in context.
So you don't just know the dictionary definition.
Exactly. Not just what they mean, but crucially, how to use them, like a pro. With that precision and maybe even a bit of flair, we're not just scratching the surface today.
Good, let's dig in.
We are going to properly dig into the layers. Specifically, we've picked 4 really useful, but sometimes tricky phrases to unpack. The same as any minute now, pull strings, and lend.
4 excellent choices, each one with its own interesting quirks.
Right?
And this deep dive, it's really a great opportunity for you listening to build that intuition, that confidence with expressions that are just vital for sounding natural and clear.
Yeah.
These aren't just, isolated vocabulary items. They're like linguistic tools. They open up whole worlds of meaning, help you navigate the sort of social side of communication much better. What's fascinating, really, is how these little combinations of words, once you really get them, can just unlock a new level of understanding in your English conversations.
Okay, let's dive into the first one then. The same as. Now, on the surface, this seems almost deceptively simple, doesn't it?
It really does. Looks easy.
It's so fundamental for comparison. We probably use it all the time without thinking. Maybe we take it for granted.
We do. But like a lot of these common expressions, there are definite layers to how you use it. And crucially, a need for precision that can easily trip you up if you're not careful.
So what's the core idea? What is it actually doing when we use the same as?
Okay, so at its heart, the same as signals one of 2 things. Either absolute identity, where 2 things are literally indistinguishable, A equals B, simple as that.
They're identical.
Or it signals a very, very strong degree of similarity, so strong that in the context you're speaking, any differences are basically negligible. They just don't matter for the point you're making.
Okay. So it's about establishing this relationship of equality, whether it's perfect equality or functionally perfect.
Precisely. And you mentioned taking it for granted. One thing that absolutely cannot be taken for granted is that little word, as.
Yes, the as.
Without that crucial as, the comparison just fizzles out. It's incomplete, ambiguous. It leaves your listener kind of hanging.
Like you started a math problem but forgot the equal sign.
That's a great analogy. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what you're trying to equate,
Yeah.
but the structure isn't there to actually complete the thought grammatically.
And that's where the grammatical nuance really kicks in, isn't it? It's not just the same. It has to be the same as. I've definitely heard learners drop the as, and it just sounds unfinished.
It does. And omitting as is a very, very common error. I hear it all the time. And it's an error that either changes the meaning entirely or, more often, just makes the sentence grammatically incomplete.
Right.
Think about it. If you say, my car is the same color, full stop.
Yeah, you immediately think same color as.
Exactly. Same color as what? You've set up a comparison, but you haven't landed it. You haven't provided the second element.
Okay.
But if you say, my car is the same as yours, Now it's complete. You're comparing your whole car to my whole car, implying they're identical in the relevant way we're discussing.
Or maybe even identical overall, depending on context.
Potentially. And then if you want to be more specific, which we often do, you nail down the attribute. My car is the same color as yours.
Ah, so color specifies the identical attribute, and as yours completes the comparison structure.
Precisely. The as isn't just decoration. It's the relational glue holding the comparison together. It makes the meaning crystal clear and grammatically sound.
That's such a vital point. It's about satisfying the listener's need for the other half of the comparison you started. It's not just grammar for grammar's sake.
No, it's about clarity.
And it links back to what you said earlier about the degree of sameness, because we don't always mean absolutely identical clone, do we? There are shades of meaning here.
Absolutely. Spot on. The degree of sameness is key. And we can sort of break it down into maybe 3 main types, each with slightly different implications.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, you've got absolute identity. This is when things are literally unequivocally the same. A perfect match. Zero difference.
Like a photocopy.
Pretty much. Imagine 2 students hand in essays. You might say, her answer on the test was the same as mine, word for word.
Okay, that implies cheating or an incredible coincidence.
Exactly. There's no wiggle room.
Yeah.
Every word, every comma, identical. It conveys complete replication.
Got it. Exact duplicate. No argument.
Right. Then the second type is what we could call strong resemblance or functional equivalence. This is more common, I think.
Okay.
This is when things are so strikingly alike that they basically serve the same purpose, or they look almost identical, even if they aren't technically a perfect copy down to the last molecule.
Like twins who aren't actually identical, but everyone treats them as if they are?
Sort of, yes. Or think about technology. My favorite example is software. This new software update functions the same as the old one, but it's faster.
Ah, okay. So it's not the exact same code. It's probably been rewritten, optimized.
Right. Under the hood, it could be totally different, new architecture, bug fixes, whatever. But crucially for the user, the core operations, the interface, how you interact with it, it feels the same. It does the same job.
The functional output, the user experience, is the same, even if the engine's been changed.
Precisely. It acknowledges potential differences or improvements while still stressing that core functional similarity. That's a really useful distinction.
It is. Okay, so absolute identity, functional equivalence. What's the third?
The third is focusing on a shared characteristic. This is when you're isolating just one single identical attribute that 2 or more things share, not comparing them overall.
Ah, okay. Like focusing on one detail.
Exactly.
Right.
For example, his birthday is the same as my sister's December 15th.
Right. You're definitely not saying he is the same as your sister.
Definitely not. Laughs slightly. You're just pointing out one specific identical piece of data they share, that date. It narrows the comparison right down to one specific facet. Very useful for giving precise info quickly.
That breakdown is super helpful. Absolute, functional, or just one shared bit. But this raises that other common question, doesn't it? What's the real difference between using the same as versus, say, similar to, or just like out and act? I can easily imagine learners getting tangled up there.
Well, absolutely. And nailing this distinction is really where you step up your game in terms of clarity and precision. It's a big part of sounding fluent.
So how do they differ?
Okay, so the same as we've just unpacked, implies that high degree of identity or very close resemblance, almost interchangeable in context. It's a strong, definite statement.
Right. Less room for doubt.
Exactly. Now, similar to Gario implies likeness, definitely, but it also explicitly acknowledges that there are differences. It's like saying, okay, these things look alike, they share qualities, but they are not identical.
It flags the difference.
Yes. For instance, this painting is similar to Van Gogh's style.
Okay, I can picture that. Same kind of colors, maybe the brushstrokes.
But it's not the same as his actual work. It captures the vibe, the essence, maybe the technique, but it's clearly an imitation, an homage, maybe just influenced by him. It's not the original. Similar to builds in that acknowledgement of difference.
So similar to gives you that crucial wiggle room, that acknowledgement that they're alike but definitely not duplicates. Whereas the same as is much stricter. It demands near perfect matching in whatever aspect you're discussing.
You've got it. And then you have like. Now, like often introduces a comparison too, but it can be much looser, more illustrative, sometimes even metaphorical.
Ah, okay. Less about literal comparison.
Often, yes. When you say, He sings like an angel. You're not making a literal comparison.
No, hopefully not comparing him to a celestial being's actual vocal cord.
Exactly. You're not saying his voice is identical to an angel's. You're drawing a comparison based on a quality, the beauty, the purity, the ethereal nature of the sound. It's evocative.
Yeah.
It paints a picture. It's less about factual similarity and more about conveying an impression.
So for learners, picking the right one is vital for precision. Use similar to, if there are differences, reserve the same as for when things are genuinely almost identical in context.
That's the key takeaway. Getting this right significantly boosts your clarity. It helps you avoid misunderstandings, especially in situations where the details really matter.
Oh, I can absolutely see how that matters. Imagine you're in a crucial business meeting. You need to confirm the details of an agreement or maybe clarify a technical spec with a client.
High stakes.
Totally. If you say a new product is the same as the old version, but you really mean it's only similar to it, maybe because some key feature has changed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You could be setting up a major misunderstanding, maybe even legal trouble down the line if they bought it based on that sameness. Getting this distinction right isn't just about sounding good, it's potentially about avoiding serious problems.
You're absolutely right. And if we zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture, clear communication in any setting, professional, academic, even just personal chats, it really leans on these seemingly tiny distinctions.
They're not so tiny in effect.
No. Misusing the same as can easily cause confusion or imply things you don't intend.
Yeah.
You might suggest a level of identity that just isn't accurate, and someone else might then make a wrong assumption, waste time, waste resources, all based on that slightly wrong word choice. The subtle shift carries real pragmatic weight.
Okay, well, that's a fantastic deep dive into the same as. From the precision of sameness, let's switch gears now to the precision of time, because here's where it gets, I think, really interesting.
Time phrases, always fun.
Let's talk about any minute now. This is one of those phrases that just injects this real sense of immediacy, doesn't it? A dynamism into the conversation. It's not just about when, but about the feeling of when.
It absolutely is. Any minute now is all about defining an event as expected, like really soon, in the immediate future.
Imminent.
Exactly, imminent. And this is so crucial for learners to get. It does not necessarily mean within the next actual 60 seconds. Forget the clock face.
Right, don't set your stopwatch.
No. It conveys this strong sense of anticipation, an expectation that something is right on the edge of happening, on the cusp. It's much more about the psychological feeling of imminence than the literal ticking clock. It's like a verbal heads up.
So less about a precise countdown, more about that feeling that things are reaching a conclusion or an event is almost upon us, that shared sense of expectation.
Precisely. And it often functions predictively. It has this strong predictive function.
How so?
We use it to signal something's about to happen, often based on, current circumstances or a pattern we recognize, an expectation built from experience.
Okay, give me an example.
Like, the kids just finished their homework, so they'll be asking for snacks any minute now.
Laughs?
Yeah.
Okay, I know that prediction well.
Right. It's not a random guess. It's based on that established pattern.
Right.
Homework done, a snack request incoming. You know it's the next logical step in the sequence. It's an experience-based prediction of immediate future behavior.
My internal snackometer starts ticking the second the books close.
Mine too. So that's a prediction. It also strongly conveys anticipation and waiting. It's very often used when someone is actively waiting for something or someone. It signals readiness.
Like you're poised for action.
Exactly. Consider, we've prepared everything for the presentation. The client should arrive any minute now.
Okay, so the room's ready, slides are up, you're just waiting by the door, basically.
You got it. You've done all the prep, and now you're just on alert for that impending arrival. It speaks to that state of heightened readiness, focused expectation.
So it's not just predicting an event, but describing an active state of waiting for it to happen, and it feels much, much stronger than just saying soon, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Soon feels kind of vague, relaxed almost. Any minute now has this tension, a palpable feeling.
It really does. It has a much stronger emphasis on immediacy. It suggests the event is truly on the threshold. Delay is minimal, or expected to be. Compare, the movie starts soon.
Okay, that's relaxed. Maybe time for more popcorn.
Right. Versus, the movie starts any minute now.
Okay, panic, sit down, phone off, now.
Exactly. The latter demands a much more immediate response. Get ready, settle down, stop talking, it's about to begin. It's almost a gentle command, or a final warning.
I can feel the pre-movie anxiety just thinking about it. The pressure's on, and I guess the emotional tone can shift quite a bit with this phrase too, depending on the context.
Oh, hugely. That's what makes it so dynamic. It can absolutely convey positive anticipation, excitement for something you want to happen.
Like the concert example.
Right. The concert's about to start. The band will come on the stage any minute now. That's full of buzz, eagerness, maybe that crowd energy.
Yeah, you can feel the excitement.
But then it can also signal something much more neutral, just negative or neutral expectation for something inevitable, maybe even mundane. Right. Like, it's getting dark outside, so the streetlights will turn on any minute now.
Okay, that's just an observation, no real emotion attached.
Exactly. It's just stating an expected, predictable fact about the immediate future. But then, there's the third flavor, urgency or impatience.
Ah, the frustrated waiting flavor.
That's the one. Especially when something is overdue or you've been waiting keenly. Imagine you had a flight delayed for hours. Hours and hours.
Oh, don't remind me.
And then the gate agent finally says over the crackly intercom, "We expect boarding to begin any minute now."
Right. And depending on how they say it and how fed up you are.
Exactly. That identical phrase could convey deep frustration. Oh, sure, any minute now. I'll believe it when I see it. Or maybe disbelief, really, after all this. Or just profound relief, finally. The same words carry vastly different emotional weight.
That's a brilliant example of how context and tone totally change the meaning. So for learners, the absolute key takeaway must be, this minute is not literal. Forget the stopwatch.
Absolutely critical. Don't interpret minute literally. It's an idiom of time, signifying a very short but crucially unspecified period. It's all about imminence and expectation.
So it raises that question, how do you convey that feeling of just around the corner without sounding stiff or, like you're reading a schedule?
And any minute now is the perfect tool. Its conversational nature makes it key for sounding natural, engaged, in the moment. And interestingly, it often implies something about the speaker, too.
Like what?
Like the speaker's own readiness, their state of preparedness for whatever is coming. You're not just passively observing, you're often kind of braced for it, ready to react or engage. It pulls the listener into your state of anticipation.
It's like a verbal cue saying, okay, heads up, something's about to happen, I'm ready, you should be too. Using phrases like this just makes conversations feel so much more alive, doesn't it? Less robotic.
It truly does. Any minute now really adds to that dynamic flow of information. It's not just a dry fact. It's a signal, a micro-story about expectation. It tells the listener about the current status, the waiting, the anticipation, and hints at the upcoming actions or events. It keeps the conversation grounded in the immediate reality, making it feel more organic.
Fantastic. Okay, let's unpack our next phrase. And this one takes us into a completely different area, influence, connections, maybe even a bit of subtle manipulation. Let's talk about pull strings. This is one of those idioms that just instantly paints a picture, doesn't it? A very vivid image. And, well, it's not always a positive one, is it?
No, it often isn't. It's a fascinating phrase, packing a lot into just 2 words.
So what's the core meaning when someone pulls strings?
Okay, the core idea is using your personal influence, your connections, maybe your position of power, often discreetly, kind of behind the scenes, unofficially, to make something happen, to get a specific outcome or gain an advantage, either for yourself or for someone else you're helping.
So it's about leveraging relationships or status.
Exactly. And usually to bypass the normal way of doing things, the standard procedures, the official rules. It hints at this unseen mechanism working in the background.
And that metaphor is just so clear, isn't it? The puppeteer.
It's perfect. The origin is exactly that image.
Yeah.
A puppeteer controlling a puppet from above with strings. You don't see the puppeteer directly, just the puppet moving. It visually reinforces that whole idea of hidden control. Influencing events without being visibly involved in the main action, orchestrating things from offstage. It suggests a power that isn't always overtly displayed.
So inherently, it suggests this kind of subtle, maybe even slightly shady power play, where outcomes aren't just based on merit or following the public rules.
That's often the implication. And that leads to some really strong connotations that are crucial for learners to grasp if they want to understand the full weight of the phrase.
Okay, what are those connotations?
Well, first, it's nearly always about something informal or unofficial. It strongly suggests you're circumventing the standard process. Not going through the main application form, perhaps, but using a personal contact. Finding a side door.
Okay, bypassing the system.
Second, and this is key, it often carries a potential negative slant. It can imply unfairness, favoritism, maybe bending the rules in a way that benefits one person over others who followed the official path. It's generally not used to describe something straightforward and legitimate where everyone plays by the same rules. It specifically highlights that something different, something preferential, happened, which naturally raises questions about fairness.
That's a great point. You wouldn't really say, oh, I pulled strings to get this job because my CV was outstanding and I aced the interview?
Exactly. That doesn't fit. The phrase comes into play when there's that element of special treatment, bending the rules, getting an advantage others didn't have access to.
So the phrase itself almost whispers, maybe not entirely fair.
Precisely. It often carries that subtle judgment, that knowing wink that something a bit opaque has occurred. And third, there's a strong sense of it being a secret advantage, or at least a discreet one.
Happening behind closed doors?
Yeah. The actual pulling of the strings often happens away from public view behind the scenes. And that lack of transparency is often why, if it comes out, it can cause suspicion, resentment, accusations of impropriety. It's the hidden hand at work.
Fascinating layers there. So where might we actually hear this phrase used? Give us some real-world scenarios.
Oh, it pops up in many contexts.
Yeah.
A common one is gaining access or favors. Like, imagine a completely sold-out concert. Impossible to get tickets.
We've all been there.
Right. Someone might say he desperately needed a last-minute ticket, so he had to pull some strings with his friend who works at the venue.
Ah, so the friend used their in to get a ticket that wasn't available through normal channels.
Exactly. An exclusive advantage gained through connection, bypassing the public system. Another big area is career advancement or opportunities.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
You might hear whispers like, it's rumored she pulled strings to get that promotion. Wasn't entirely based on merit, you know.
Oof. That immediately casts doubt, doesn't it?
It does. It implies that while she might be qualified, some external influence, a powerful connection might have tipped the scales, rather than just a purely objective evaluation of her work. It suggests a shortcut was taken.
Okay. What else?
It's also used for overcoming obstacles, especially bureaucratic ones. Red tape.
Cutting through red tape.
Exactly. The family pulled strings with a local politician to get the necessary building permits approved quickly. This suggests that without that political nudge, the process might have dragged on for months or maybe even failed, regardless of the project's merits. The politician used their influence to fast-track it.
Right. Something an ordinary person couldn't easily do.
Precisely. And then there are more everyday social contexts. Getting into exclusive clubs, securing a table at that restaurant that's always booked solid.
The do you know who I am scenario, but done more subtly.
Sometimes. Think of that super popular restaurant. It's Saturday night, fully booked, a regular customer waits, maybe gets turned away. But then the owner's friend walks in and miraculously gets a table.
That's pulling strings.
That's pulling strings. Benefiting from an informal, unearned advantage, bypassing the standard queue or reservation system. It shows that sometimes who you know really does matter more than the official rules.
That's such a clear set of examples. It really shows how someone gets ahead outside the normal system. So for learners, it must be vital to get that this is a true idiom. You can't guess the meaning from pull plus strings.
Absolutely not. It's a perfect example of an idiom where the whole means something completely different from the parts. And what's fascinating here is how that simple visual image culling strings manages to capture such a complex and often universal social dynamic.
It resonates, doesn't it?
It really does. And learners need to understand the cultural context, too. As you hinted, the perception of pulling strings can vary.
How so?
Well, in some cultures, using personal connections, think of concepts like guangxi in China or wasta in the Middle East, might be seen as a normal, even valued, efficient way to navigate things. It's part of the social fabric.
Relying on your network.
Whereas in other cultures, especially those strongly emphasizing strict meritocracy and transparency, it might be viewed much more negatively, as unethical, maybe even corrupt. But the phrase itself in English, pull strings, generally carries that slightly critical, or at least knowing, undertone. It signals an awareness that an unofficial advantage was used, even if the speaker doesn't explicitly condemn it. It acknowledges the deviation from the norm.
So understanding the phrase helps you decode not just the words, but the whole social situation, the power dynamics, maybe even the cultural subtext.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, knowing idioms like this is crucial. It lets you grasp the implicit meanings, the unspoken assumptions floating around in English conversations. You understand what people are really hinting at beyond the surface. It's a window into cultural norms, unspoken rules, and how influence actually works. Without getting this idiom, you'd miss a whole layer of communication.
Okay, fantastic insight into pull strings. Let's move to our final phrase for today, lend. Now, this seems like maybe the simplest one, a really basic, fundamental verb.
It does seem that way.
Yet, I know from experience it can cause real confusion for learners. Because it's part of that inseparable pair, isn't it? Lend and borrow. Getting the perspective right is everything.
You've hit the nail on the head. Lend itself seems straightforward. Its primary meaning is simple.
Yeah.
You give something to someone for a period of time, and there's an understanding, an expectation that it will come back.
A temporary transfer.
Exactly, a temporary transfer. But the confusion, as you say, comes from its relationship with borrow. There are two sides of the exact same coin, describing the same action, but crucially from different viewpoints.
Oh, yes. Lend versus borrow. It's all about perspective. Who's the giver? Who's the receiver?
Precisely. This is probably the single most critical point for learners with these two verbs. Lend is always from the perspective of the giver. You lend something to someone.
Okay. Giver, lend.
And borrow is always from the perspective of the receiver. You borrow something from someone.
Receiver, borrow. Got it.
Let me just walk through a quick mini dialogue to make it absolutely concrete. Imagine it's raining. Person A needs an umbrella from person B.
Okay.
Person A, the potential receiver, would ask, "Can I borrow your umbrella?" asking to take it temporarily.
Makes sense.
Or person A could frame it focusing on the giver. "Can you lend me your umbrella?" asking person B to give it temporarily.
Right. Same outcome, different focus.
Exactly. Now, if person B agrees, if person A asked, "Can I borrow?" person B, the giver, replies, "Yes, you can borrow it," agreeing to let A take it. If person A asked, "Can you lend?" person B replies, "Yes, I can lend it to you," agreeing to give it.
The verb choice mirrors the question's perspective.
Perfectly. The action is identical umbrella, changes hands temporarily. But the verb choice depends entirely on whether you're focusing on the giving lend or the receiving borrow.
That makes it crystal clear. So the common mistake is just mixing those up, using borrow when you mean lend or vice versa. I can almost hear that slight awkwardness now.
That's exactly it. A classic error is something like, "Can you borrow me your pen?"
Right, that sounds off.
It's incorrect because borrow means to take temporarily. So you're asking the other person to do the borrowing from you, which makes no sense if they are the one holding the pen.
They're the lender, not the borrower.
Exactly. The correct phrasing is always, "Can you lend me your pen?" or "Can I borrow your pen?" The confusion often comes because in many other languages there might be just one verb for both sides or the grammar works differently. But in English, this distinction is strict and perspective dependent. Mastering it makes a huge difference to sounding natural.
Okay, so it's not just about physical objects, right? Like pens, umbrellas, cars. Lend can be used more broadly. I'm thinking of some common expressions.
Absolutely. While physical objects are the most common starting point, I lent my neighbor my lawnmower, or the library will lend you books for 3 weeks.
Standard stuff.
It also applies very directly to money. The bank agreed to lend the company £1 million for expansion. The bank is the lender, expecting repayment.
Right.
But, as you hinted, the really interesting uses come with abstract concepts. Through some very common, very important idiomatic extensions, these are fundamental for fluent conversation.
Ah, the idioms. Let's hear them.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it goes beyond just simple transactions.
Exactly. It moves into social support and interaction. For example, lend a hand, or the slightly more formal, lend a helping hand.
Means to help someone.
Simply that, to help. If you say, "Could you lend a hand moving this sofa?" you're not asking for a literal hand.
No, thankfully.
You're asking for physical assistance. Their effort, their strength. It's a very common, polite way to ask for help.
Okay, lend a hand, help. What else?
Then there's lend an ear. This means to listen attentively, sympathetically, usually when someone is upset or just needs to talk things through.
To offer support by listening.
Precisely. She's having a really tough time at work. I told her I could always lend an ear if she needed to vent. It's offering your time, your attention, your empathy as a temporary gift, offering solace through listening.
And that can be incredibly valuable, sometimes more than practical help.
Absolutely. And then there's a slightly more formal one, often used in professional or academic settings.
Mm-hmm.
Lend credence to, or sometimes lend support to, or lend weight to.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means to add validity, strength, or believability to something abstract, like an idea, an argument, a theory, or a claim.
So to make it seem more likely or true.
Exactly. For instance, the discovery of new DNA evidence lends credence to the defense attorney's argument. The evidence itself doesn't physically give anything, but it adds credibility. It bolsters the argument, makes it more convincing. It provides backing.
So lend a hand, help. Lend an ear, listen. Lend credence, validate. Those are really useful.
They are incredibly useful, and they are essential for fluent English because they let you express all these nuanced forms of support, assistance, validation, without literally transferring an object. They massively enrich how you talk about social interactions.
So going back to the core confusion, for learners, beyond just memorizing these idioms, how do they really lock down that lend-borrow distinction? Especially, in the middle of a fast conversation, it seems like it needs real conscious practice.
It absolutely does. Persistent practice and consciously focusing on that giver-receiver dynamic are key. A little mental check. Am I the one giving temporarily lend or receiving temporarily borrow? Making that check habitual is the goal.
Until it becomes automatic.
Exactly. And as we've seen, understanding lend isn't just about simple transactions. Those idioms broaden its use enormously, allowing you to express everything from sharing a tool to offering deep emotional support or intellectual validation. It's all built around that core idea of a temporary contribution, a temporary gift that enhances the interaction.
So getting lend and borrow right instantly makes your daily interactions more precise, especially around sharing, helping, exchanging things. It's fundamental social grammar, really.
It really is. These words, simple as they seem, underpin countless acts of cooperation and social exchange. Getting them right means you're not just speaking English correctly, you're also engaging accurately with its underlying social logic, clarity and reciprocity.
Wow. Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What does this all mean? We've taken these four, seemingly simple phrases and really uncovered some incredible depth, haven't we?
I think so. Layers upon layers.
We properly unpacked the same as figuring out those degrees of identity, absolute, functional, shared characteristic, and crucially, how using it precisely, especially with the A's, separates it from similar to or like. That clarity is key.
Absolutely. Avoiding those potential pitfalls.
Then we jumped into the immediacy of any minute now, how it's not about the clock, but about that psychological feeling of expectation, readiness, sometimes even impatience or excitement.
That sense of imminence.
Exactly. And then the subtle power dynamics of pull strings, understanding that puppet master image, the connotations, informal influence, bypassing rules, maybe even unfairness, depending on the context.
And the cultural nuances potentially attached to it.
Right. And finally, we clarified that crucial give and take of lend, nailing the perspective lender gives, borrower receives, and exploring those fantastic idioms. Lend a hand, lend an ear, lend credence, moving beyond just physical objects.
It really shows, I think, that true fluency isn't just about having a huge vocabulary list. It's about mastering these subtle signals, the precise meanings packed into everyday language.
Yeah.
Knowing something is one thing, but understanding it deeply and being able to apply it effectively. That's where the value lies. And these phrases are perfect examples of how a small shift in wording can make a massive difference in how clearly and naturally you communicate.
You're not just learning isolated words, you're learning how English speakers kind of structure their interactions and perceptions.
Exactly. You're tapping into the logic of the language.
So for you listening, you came here wanting those aha moments, maybe a shortcut to sounding more informed, more natural. And hopefully you found that digging into these common phrases gives you some really surprising insights you can use immediately.
That's the goal.
So the challenge now is to take this awareness out into the world. Actively listen for these phrases. Notice how people use them, the context, the tone, and then consciously try using them yourself in your own conversations.
That active practice is crucial.
It's the only way to really integrate them, make them part of your own fluent English toolkit. It's definitely a journey of ongoing discovery.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, to sort of mull over.
Go on.
Consider the incredible efficiency of language. Isn't it amazing how these short, common phrases, the same as any minute now, pull strings, lend, manage to pack in such complex social cues, such specific emotional tones, such precise relationships about expectation, influence, reciprocity, all in just 2 or 3 words.
That's a great point. Linguistic shorthand for complex ideas.
Exactly. So the question to ponder is, what other everyday expressions do you use, maybe without even thinking about it, that hold similar hidden depths, similar power waiting for you to notice, to unpack, and ultimately to master? The more you look closely at the language you use every day, the more magic you'll find hiding in plain sight. Keep listening. Keep exploring.